balance of payment deficit and balance of payment surplus. Why is it a deficit? It's a deficit because the net trade, that means we are importing more than what we are exporting. That is when we have a deficit. But whenever we export more than what we import, it's a surplus. Do you get the point here? It's a relationship between exports and imports. When an economy exports more than imports, the economy is supposed to witness a balance of trade or balance of payment surplus, or net trade balance, which is surplus. But if you are importing more than exports, you should witness a deficit. Because at that point in time, you are spending more of your currency to get more foreign goods. Do you get it? You are spending more of your currency to get foreign goods. That is a deficit. But when other currencies are buying more of your own goods or currency, it is a surplus for your economy. So yes, net trade balance. This is the value of exports minus imports. So the difference between our exports in terms of the value and imports is what we call net trade balance or balance of trade. I think that is clear. So when the value of exports are greater than the value of imports, we have a trade surplus. The value of export greater than the value of import is a trade surplus. Because we are trading, and trading, international trade involves exports and imports. There is a trade deficit whenever the value of import becomes greater than the value of export. So we have a deficit because the value of our any imports is more than the export. That's the difference between balance of trade surplus and deficit. Any question about that?
No.
Let's move on. There is a distinction between the balance of payment deficit and surplus. Here we need to talk about the current account. And in the current account, we have our exports, we have our imports, we have our primary income and our secondary income. So here it goes. The decision between the balance of payment deficit and surplus on the current account. The current account contains the trade in goods, which is our balance of trade in goods. That's visible. We're talking about visible import and visible export. Trade in services, we're talking about visible imports, invisible import, invisible exports, such as tourism. Then we have the primary income, those things we make here. The secondary income, those things we get from other countries in terms of finance. So there's a current account deficit if the overall debits are greater than the overall credits. So when your debits in the current account, when your debit is more than your credit in your current account, then there's what we call trade deficit. Do you all talk about deficit here? Your current account should have a balance. But in the balance of your current account, if the overall debits are greater than the overall credit, for the current account, what do we have in the current account? We have the items we have in the current account, put it in mind. We have the primary incomes, we have the secondary incomes, we have the visible and invisible imports and exports. That means we're talking about trade in goods and trade in services. Those are the four items that contains the current account. So when you are posting your current account, those things that comes to your country, here we have the debit side. Let's say we have the current account. We have the debit side of the current account and the credit side of the current account. When your debits are greater than the credit, you are in deficit. On your debit side, these are your spendings out of the country. Please put your mind here. On your debit side of the current account, all your expenses will be recorded there. The value of what you are taking out in terms of goods, in terms of services, in terms of the income, they go into the debit side. On the credit side, all what comes into your country in terms of goods, in terms of services are recorded there. So if your credit side of your current account is greater than your debit side, you are witnessing a current account surplus. On the other hand, if the debit side of your current account is greater than your credit side, you are witnessing a current account deficit. Do you understand deficit here? Deficit means the debit side of your current account is greater than the credit side of your current account. Surplus means the credit side of your current account is greater than the debit side of your current account. I think it's clear. Is it clear to you?
Yes.
Now go to government deficits and balance of payment deficit. Most of the time, we think when a country is in a balance of in a deficit, in a current account deficit, it's because government is borrowing money. No. government that borrows money. Private individuals do borrow money too. Do you get what I'm saying here? The mistake we make is to think that if a country is witnessing a current account deficit, it's because the government of that country is borrowing so much. It is not. The balance of the current account or the balance of payment contains billions of transactions of even individuals from one country to another. So the transaction is not about government alone. Rather, it's about individual transactions that are up to billions. Your transaction by transactions, everybody's transaction from this country out of this country, from other countries into this country, are part of the balance of payment to current account. So look at what I wrote here. One common mistake is to assume that any current account deficit is paid by government. No, government will not pay. Though government can solve the current account deficit or surplus, coming up with policies. But most of the time, government leaves it in the hands of the free market to solve. Please get the point clear. Whenever there is current account deficit or surplus, government of a country can solve it. All the time, government of a country might leave it in the hands of the free market to solve. Also, don't assume that government borrowing is the same as the current account deficit. No. Not only government borrowings, there are private individuals that has also borrowed or that have borrowed. However, the current account is made up of billions of individual transactions, like I said. Billions of individual transactions which are financed in different ways. So different people, different businesses, they do different transactions. And they finance their transaction in different ways. Business A would not finance its transaction the same as business B. Business E might not finance it as business A. So we have different transactions we do, and we don't finance it the same way. A current account deficit may be caused by individuals buying so much of imports and financing it through borrowings abroad. So, as an individual, you might start doing business with countries abroad, with businesses abroad. So now, as a business person, we rely mostly on imports. This could be the reason why our current account is in deficit. Get the point here? There are two things that could cause an individual, a country to have a current account deficit. Number one, individual transactions are mainly from abroad. Listen please. There are different reasons why a country will be witnessing a current account deficit. One of the reasons is, please be here. There are different reasons why a country will be witnessing a current account deficit. One of the reasons is that individual transactions are done mainly from abroad. So we do more of imports. This could lead to a current account deficit. Or we do our transaction by borrowing money from abroad. Just to solve the problem of current account deficit. How can government solve it? Government will come up with different economic policies or different policies such as monetary policy, which is interest rates. Government can use interest rates to solve current account deficit. How? If government might increase interest rates. If government increases interest rates, it might mean that individuals in that country will stop financing importation rather than start saving. Government might increase the exchange rate of the country. Government might increase the value of the currency of the country. I mean the exchange rate. What I'm saying about it is, we have appreciation of currency, we have revaluation of currency and devaluation of currency. If government thinks that people of this country buy more of imports, government might revalue their currency. In the course of revaluing their currency, imports becomes export, government will devalue their currency. If government devalues their currency, it means export will be more than imports. Please get the point. Are you here? Government wants to solve a problem of which is current account deficit. For government to solve a problem of current account deficit, government can revalue or devalue its currency. In the course of devaluing your currency, what does that mean? It means that your currency will buy less of foreign currencies, which means you will stop thinking of importation rather exportation. Because at that point in time, foreign currency will buy more of your currency. So this is a way in which government can solve current account deficit. However, if government feels that it doesn't want to solve the problem, that the problem is mainly from individual transactions, government might leave it in the hands of the free market to solve. Do we get it there? There's current account deficit, which government might choose to solve. In the course of government choosing to solve the current account deficit, government might use monetary policy to solve it. What are the kind of monetary policy government can use? Government can use interest rates, increase of interest rate. If government increases interest rate, people will start saving and investing. Government can devalue its currency. If government devalues its currency, it means its currency will buy less of foreign currencies or foreign goods. At that point in time, the country becomes internationally competitive. So more export from the country, less import from the country. And that will solve the current account deficit.